Hello, good morning everyone. So once again, this is General Jukor, and welcome back to this channel. So today let's discuss about the first pillar of criminal justice system. But before that, if you are new in this channel, please click to subscribe and hit the notification bell for the updates of our upcoming videos. So let's start. So the first pillar of criminal justice system is the law enforcement. And now, what is the law enforcement? So law enforcement is any system by which some members of the society act in an organized manner to enforce the law by discovering, determining, rehabilitating, or punishing people who violate rules and norms governing that society. So in short, when we say law enforcement, sila ang taga pa-implement no sa balaod sa law. Oh, by discovering, to discover, to determine, and of course by giving our rehabilitation and by punishing people no katong mga nakalapas sa atong balaod, sila ang itawag na tog taga pa-implement no to our laws in our country. So that is the law enforcement. And another one is it is most frequently applied to those who are directly engaged in patrols or surveillance to dissuade and discover criminal activity. Those who investigate crimes and apprehend offenders in a task typically carried out by the police or another law enforcement organization. So it's simply makita nato mostly in our community that our prime mover. So in our community, when we say that law enforcement, sila ang magkandak og patrols and surveillance, no, to discover crimes, to investigate crimes, and of course to apprehend offenders in our society. So that is the law enforcement. And the law enforcement is considered as the prime mover of criminal justice system. Why? Because kung na isa ka crime nga mahitabo in our community, so ang una mo take over ana sa ato ang 5 pillars of criminal justice is the first pillar and the law enforcement. So when the police themselves discover that a crime has been committed, no, kung na isa ka krimen na ma-discover sa ato mga kapulisan, no, the police is considered as the prime mover of the Philippine criminal justice system. Kay sila ang una nga mo take over, sila ang una nga in charge when there is a crime happen in our society. And there are legal foundations no, sa ato ang criminal justice system. So first is our Philippine Constitution, no? And the Article 16, Section 6 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution state that the state shall establish and maintain one police force which shall be national in scope and civilian in character, to be administered and controlled by the National Police Commission. So in terms of the administration, ang Philippine National Police are under the NAPOLCOM or the National Police Commission. So the authority of local executives over the police units in their jurisdiction shall be provided by law, like the Republic Act 6975, an act establishing the PNP under the reorganized Department of the Interior and Local Government, so and for other purposes. So it is called the DILG Act of 1990. Kining Republic Act 6975. Then the next foundation is the Republic Act 8551. It is an act providing for the reform and reorganization of the PNP. So and for purposes amending certain provisions. So ang Republic Act 6975 na amend siya sa Republic Act 8551. So last February 25, 1998. So there are certain provisions nga gi-amend ang RA 6975 amended by RA 8551, and latest amendment is the Republic Act 9708, no, that an act extending for 5 reglementary period for complying with the minimum educational qualification for appointments to the PNP and adjusting the promotion system thereof, enacted on last August 12, 2009, amending for the purpose of pertinent provisions. So there are provisions nga gi-amend sa RA 6975 and RA 8551. So those are the foundations, legal foundations of our criminal justice system, or the first pillar. Then next, we have the two main functions of police officer. So first is to serve and protect. So the responsibility of every police officer is to serve the public and protect life and property. No police operation shall be conducted in order to serve and protect the illegal activity of a particular person, group, or criminal syndicate. So one of the functions, no, of our police officer is to serve and protect. To serve the public and protect the public, the life and property, no, ang kinabuhi o ang mga butang sa ato ang komunidad mao na ang una pinaka first priority sa pag-serve sa atong mga kapulisan. And second one is to observe human rights and dignity of person. All PNP personnel shall respect the human rights and dignity of the suspect during police operation. So ang mga kapulisan nato, when they conduct operation in certain area, no, example na sila dakpon na sa ka-accused or suspect that he or she committed a crime. So dapat before nila i-arrest ang maong suspect or offender, dapat ma-inform sana sa ilang rights ang ato ang ma-inform na sa kitawag og Miranda rights or the Miranda doctrine. Makahibaw ang maong accused or offender for their rights. And let's have the power and functions of the Philippine National Police. So let's talk about the power and functions, no. Then first is to enforce all laws and ordinances relative to the protection of lives and properties. So ang atong mga law enforcement or law enforcers, no, atong mga kapulisan, sila ang taga-pa-implement, no. I mentioned it while ago that sila ang taga-implement sa balaod all the ordinances in our community, for the protection of lives, no, pagprotekta sa kinabuhi o sa mga kabutang or properties. Then next is to maintain peace and order, to take all necessary steps to ensure public safety. So ang pinaka main functions po nila, one of the main functions sa ato ang mga kapulisan is magpabilin ang kalinaw ug kahapsay sa ato ang komunidad, no, for the public safety of all people and the society. So mo gina pinakamentas sa ato mga law enforcers. And to investigate and prevent crimes, effect the arrest of criminal offenders, bring offenders to justice, and assist in their prosecution. So kung naay usa ka krimen nga mahitabo, our police will be the one to investigate and of course prevent crimes. So in what way man nga ma-prevent nila ang crimes, no? By conducting a checkpoint or patrolling in a certain place, no? In that way nga ma-prevent ang crimes, kay makita sa mga tao nga naay police, so ang ilang intention nga ma-commit og crime ma-prevent, and of course effect the arrest of the criminal. So kung naay sa ka kriminal nga ma-issuehan sa judge og warrant of arrest, of course our police officers will be the in charge, no, to serve the warrant of arrest to arrest the criminal offender and bring offenders to justice. So sila ang magdala sa ka offender into justice. for the prosecution, no, and also to the trial. So mo na ang task or functions, one of the functions of our Philippine National Police. And next we have exercise the general powers to make arrests, search and seizure in accordance with the Constitution and pertinent laws. So sila ang mag-exercise to make arrest, no, sa pag-aresto sa ato ang mga gitawag og criminal offenders, and pagkandak og search and seizures, especially dunay mga illegal na mga activities, illegal drugs, illegal items no dapat nga i-search. So sila ang tig-serve ang atong mga kapulisan. And detain and arrest person for a period not beyond what is prescribed by law, informing the person detained of all rights under the Constitution. So kung dunay madakpan, i-detain na within the either kung light penalties na siya, 12 hours. Kung correctional penalties, 18 hours. Kung afflictive penalties, no, that is 36 hours. So either 12, 18 or 36 hours dapat i-detain na ang maong person who committed a crime, no, arrested without the warrant, or what we call it, arrested caught in the act or in flagranti delicto. So i-detain na siya, and dapat di mulapas ana para dili ma-charge ang ato ang mga pulis og arbitrary detention. And next, issue license for the possession of firearms and explosive in accordance with law. So our police officers, no, there are certain assignment nga sila ang tiga, especially in Camp Crame, sila ang tiga-issue when it comes to licensure of firearms and explosives, and supervise and control the training and operations of security agencies, and issue licenses to operate security agencies and to security guards and private detectives for the practice of their profession. So ang ato ang mga law enforcement, ang ato mga kapulisan, sila pod ang nag-control sa training and operation sa atong mga security agencies, kanang nag-hire og mga security guards, and also sa mga license sa agency, license to operate, and of course license of our security guards, no, or private detectives, para maka-exercise sila sa ilahang duty as a profession as a security officer or security guard, no. Ang atong PNP mo itig issue og licenses and perform such other duties and exercise all other functions as may be provided by law. So example, kung dunay mga calamity, dunay mga emergency, atong mga police pwede na sila tawagon para maka-help sa ato ang community kung kinahanglan ang ilahang presence. Then next we have the collateral functions of the Philippine National Police. Aron na po sa collateral functions. So first, collateral functions, no, of the Philippine National Police is always in the collaboration with other law enforcement agencies and police volunteers. So naki-collaborate gina permente ang ato ang police ngadto sa lain nga law enforcement agencies. Then para, no, to maintain forces and establish police volunteers to sustain the need of the law enforcement, and to maintain readiness and mobile forces and police volunteers trained and equipped for employment and emergencies, and provide adequate, timely and reliable intelligence for use by PNP and in assistance to other agencies. And next, to organize, train and equip force assignment to an insurgent affected area. So one of their collateral functions is sila ang ma-organize, mag-train, mag-equip sa ato ang mga police force for assignment to an insurgent or mga affected area. Then to prepare and submit budget to NAPOLCOM chairman for the PNP units and offices, justify before the competent authority budget request is approved by NAPOLCOM, and administer funds for maintaining equipment and training for the forces, police regional offices, and including the national support units. And of course, to conduct research and develop doctrines, procedures, tactics, techniques, develop and procure weapons, equipment, and supplies essential to the fulfillment of the functions assigned. So there are assigned pod when it comes to research, develop doctrines, procedures, tactics, na mga techniques para magkaanam og ka-improve, no, kay ang mga criminal, mga syndicate, mga organized crimes is nagka-improve pod. So there are trainings pod nga ilang i-conduct pa i-develop para ma-equip ang atong mga kapulisan. Then to develop, supply, and maintain police camps, bases, and other installations including lines and communications. So to assist other law enforcement agencies when called, requested. So nara pod sila ready to assist other law enforcement agencies kung gi-request sila. Then to support the armed forces of the Philippines. So pinaka importante kayo ang pag-support sa armed forces of the Philippines, no, through information gathering and performance of its ordinary police functions on matters involving suppression of insurgency. So kung doon ay mga terrorist, no, ang atong mga PNP always na mo support sa EAP or our Armed Forces of the Philippines. And then to support the EFP to combat and involving the suppression of insurgency and other serious threats to the national security. Then categories of police operations. So there are categories now sa atong mga police operations. First is the public safety operation. So unsa man yung mga involved in public safety operations. First is the search and rescue and retrieval operations. So kung dunay mga calamity, no, muna gitawag og public safety operation. So ang atong mga kapulis mo conduct og search and rescue and retrieval operation. Example katong dunay mga landslide, dunay mga bagyo, no, after ana mo conduct ang ato ang mga kapulisan og public safety operations for search and rescue and retrieval operations. So fire drill, mo conduct po og fire drill, earthquake drill, and similar operations that promote public safety. So in any private companies or schools, buildings, malls, no, need og mga drills. So those are the public safety operation conducted by our police personnel. Next, we have the law enforcement operation. So mo ni ang mga law enforcement operation. This includes service of warrant of arrest. Kung dunay usa ka warrant nga issue sa judge, nga sila ang mo effect took effect ani nga mao nga warrant, serve nila para dakpon ang maong criminal. Then implementation of search warrant, no? Kung doon na po kailangan i-search, no, kailangan siya po na i-serve sa atong mga police. The enforcement of ministerial powers of the Chief Philippine National Police and unit commanders, anti-illegal drugs operation, anti-illegal gambling operation, and illegal logging operation, anti-illegal fishing operation, carnapping, anti-cybercrime operation, and other similar operations that are conducted to enforce laws, statutes, executive, and ordinances. So tanan nga kailangan ipa-implement ang balaod mo ni gitawag law enforcement operation. Next, we have the internal security operation. So this include counterinsurgency operation, counter-terrorist operation, and similar operation conducted to ensure internal security. So kung dunay mga threats sa ato ang nasod, no, mga terrorists, like atong example katong dito sa Maguindanao ug dito sa Marawi, no, that is a national counter ang ato ang police army dito sa Marawi and dito sa Maguindanao to suppress the insurgency. That's next, we have the special force police operation. So this include checkpoint. So kini siya mga special ni kanang checkpoint operation, roadblocks operation, civil disturbance management operation, police assistance in the enforcement of demolition, eviction, injunction, and similar orders. So these are the special operation, police operation. And police assistance in the implementation of final order and order of quasi-judicial bodies, hostage situation, visit board, search and seizure on board, marine vessels, and similar police operations that are conducted by police units with specialized training on the peculiarity of the mission of forces. So these are mga special, no, police operations. So easy to understand about this topic. Then next, we have the intelligence operations. So when we say intelligence, no, this includes surveillance operations. So makandak og surveillance, no, to detect criminal activities or crime. So counterintelligence, intelligence research, intelligence assessment, and similar police intelligence operations conducted to gather information related to security and public safety and order. So when we say intelligence, sila ang taga-conduct o surveillance to detect criminal activity so in any area of our society. Then next we have the investigation of operation. So sila ang tig-investigate mo ni ang conduct og investigation. This include investigation of crime incident, no, kung doon sa krimen nga mahitabo, no, makandak sila investigation, administrative investigation. So let's say for example doon sa ka police nga nakabayolate sa law. So there are example the IAS, the Internal Affairs Service, sila magkandak investigation on that's administrative investigation. And similar investigative work necessary to determine facts and circumstances for filing cases criminally and administratively. Then scene of the crime operation, or what we call it the SOCO. This include the processing of crime scene, technical and forensic examination of evidence, and similar scientific investigative assistance. Kung doon ay krimen may tabo, example, doon ay homicide cases, no, doon ay gipusil, no. The SOCO, the personnel will be the one in charge, no, processing crime scene. So pagkuha sa evidence, no, for forensic examination, scientific investigative assistance, so sila ang in charge na ang atong SOCO for the preservation of evidences. Then there are requirements, no, for police operations. So unsa man ni mga requirements kung mag-conduct og operation atong mga kapulis. First is these are basic requirements, no, kung dunay mga police operation. First, kining during police operation like arrest, search and seizure, checkpoints, roadblocks, demolition, and civil disturbance management shall be done as follows. So first, with a marked police vehicle. So kung doon nagay mga police operation, usa nga requirements nila is kaning doon nagay dala nga police vehicle with mark, nakamarka siya nga police vehicle. Then led by a police commission officer. So at least doon ay usa ka opisyal nga kuyog police commission officer. Then with the personnel in prescribed uniform, police uniform or attire, dapat naka-uniforme prescribed. Then what should police officers use during actual operation? So unsa may ilang gamiton during actual operation, no, during police intervention operation, the team leader shall use peaceful means including the use of megaphones or any other similar instruments to warn or influence the offenders or suspect to stop and or peacefully give up. Then are warning shots prohibited? Yes, so ang warning shots, no, prohibited yun na siya. Then the police shall not use warning shot during police intervention and operation. So gibawal na siya, prohibited na ang warning shots kay dahil nahitabuan na nga dunay ma-accidentally matamaan sa bala. Then use of force during police operation. So use of excessive force are prohibited, no, kunong bakusganon. The excessive use of force during police operation is prohibited, no. Naiuban nga police nga makalimot, no, nga bawal day ang mag-use of force during operation, no. However, in the lawful performance of duty, a police officer may use necessary force to accomplish his mandated task of enforcing the law and maintaining peace and order. So there are certain situation nga a police officer may use unnecessary force para ma-accomplish ang iyahang task to enforce the law. Then in issuance of verbal warning. So the police officer must first issue a verbal warning before he could use force against an offender as far as practicable. So the verbal warning shall be in the dialect that is known to the offender or in the national language. Verbal warning shall consist of the following, no, the police officer identifying himself, his intention of the wants the offender to do. If the offender is a foreigner, the verbal shall be done in English language, of course dapat English, followed by a demonstrative act of the police officer's intent, and it shall be done with a loud and clear manner. So dapat mo na ang verbal warning. Then, non-issuance of verbal warning when excusable. So, the failure to issue a verbal warning is excusable in cases where threat to life and property, no, and is already imminent, no, danger, and there is no other option but to use force to subdue the offender. So, di na kailangan na verbal warning, but og kinahanglan na gyud wala na ilang option but to use force to subdue the offender, no. Then, use of non-lethal weapon. So, when suspect is violent or threatening and that least physical measure have been tried and deemed inappropriate, a more extreme but non-deadly measure can be used, such as baton, truncheon, pepper spray, stun gun, and other non-lethal weapon to bring the suspect under control or effect arrest, no, para lang yun ma-arrest ng maong suspect. So, application of necessary and reasonable force. No, during confrontation with an armed offender, no, kini siya armed offender na pud ni, only such necessary and reasonable force should be applied as would be sufficient to overcome the resistance put up by the offender, no, subdue the clear and imminent danger posed by him, or to justify the force act under the principles of self-defense, defense of relative, and defense of stranger. So, ang usa ka kapulisan kung doon na siya i-arrest, no, or dakpon, but ni gamit og mga example na igamit armas, no, nigunit ang sa kasuspek, nigunit og armas, nigitiunan ka, of course the police pwede ka mo una, no, ang huwaton pa nimo nga ikaw una mamatay, police ka, so pwede nimo ma-justify as self-defense, no. Example, imo ang relatives nimo pusilon, dapat unhanan nimo ang mga suspect, no, defense of relatives. So naa siya sa topic ni sa revised penal code na book 1, no, the justifying circumstances, na siya nga elements. Then next, factors to consider in the reasonableness of force employed. So a police officer, however, is not required to afford offenders attacking him the opportunity for a fair or equal struggle. So dapat fair, dili ka mo take advantage as police officer nang kontra nimo ang gidala sundang ni imo dayong gipusil dayon. So dapat the reasonableness of the force employed will be depend upon the number of aggressors, nature, and the characteristics of the weapon used, physical condition, size, and other circumstances to include the place and occasion of the employing officer is given the sound discretion to consider these factors in employing reasonable force. So kanang gitawag na to reasonable force, kanang ang usa ka accused or offender, suspect, no, tigulang na unya ang iyang gidala is kuan lang sundang or kutsilyo, but as a police officer imong gipusil dayon, no, that is not considered as reasonable force employed. So gawas kung nagdanag armalite, no, attempt siya og pusil nimo, dapat maka-justify ka na as reasonable nga pwede nimo siya mo una ka, no, pwede nimo siya unhan aside nga ikaw unay mamatay as police officer. Then next, no, mo na mga factors nga i-consider. Then lastly, the responsibility of the police officer in charge of police operation. So this mo na mga responsibility so sa ka-police kung officer in charge sa operation. So the police officer who is in charge of the operation shall control over all police personnel in the area of or operation and shall exhaust all possible means to apply the necessary and reasonable force to protect lives and properties during armed confrontation. So ang in charge, so dapat ang police officer in charge siya ang mag-control, no, to all personnel na iya mga ginsakupan, no, by means, no, to apply all necessary and reasonable force, no, tanang kinahanglan when it comes to the protection of lives and properties, especially during the armed confrontation. Mga kinahanglan nga buhaton, no, mga tactical operations. So that's all for our first topic in this video, the law enforcement pillar. So I hope that my dear students, that you learn it in our videos today. So I would like to say that this is a short and topic, and I hope that you learn this video. And before I end my video presentation discussion, so I would like to share with you this quote from Anonymous. says that purpose is the reason you journey, passion is the fire that lights the way. So my dear students, so no, always remember your purpose, why you choose to study this course, and dapat you must be passionate enough, no, for your goal, no, for you to become successful in the future, to become a professional, to become police officer someday. So thank you so much for watching these videos, and God bless you all. Bye bye.